Is it really about how many more years? I don't think so. For me, redefining longevity is being the best version of yourself now. The old days, people just used to cook with their hands and you ate. You have to be intuitive and not medicalize. Hormones are super important because they are the conductor to the symphony of your genes. AI can be very clever at dealing with bureaucracy, which I feel most GP work, 70% is bureaucracy. Who is more fulfilled? Ask yourself that question. The man who's worried about how he's going to take his 1,000 supplements, or the guy says, there's no rain, I've got fire, I'm warm, I can sleep tonight like a baby.
Welcome to the Visionary podcast, where we discuss science, medicine, physical health, and mental well-being. ATP, just circling back to it quickly, for those who don't want to do fasting for days or extreme biohacking, are there any gentler ways to activate ATP?
Yeah, so ATP can be activated by ensuring that energy is not going in the right place. So cleaning your gut out, cleaning your liver out. Detoxifying means that the ATP that's been currently utilized doing a job it shouldn't is available for you. So everything I've talked about enhances ATP. Every one of them, they're just layers of capability.
Yeah.
So, energy preservation is the secret to longevity. The head office triaging it to ATP, not cortisol. The other thing is when you become more abundant in your inner energy, you can actually draw energy from the outside world. So holotropic breathwork, oxygen, infrared light, morning and evening light, it's free. Yeah. Earthing, these are all sources of energy.
Yeah, you mentioned the gut a number of times. Let's say I have a compromised gut microbiome. How could I repair this?
You can't repair it without cleaning it. So you have to use these herbs to clean. Once you've cleaned
Herbal treatment first.
Herbs, to clean out. Once you've cleaned, then of course the ecosystem, the gardener can fix it. Pre-pro postbiotics can be used. Timing. Then how do you maintain it is more important. Well, basically avoid sugar as much as you can. Avoid ultra-processed foods as much as you can. Eat whole food, but less of it. And that's it. We don't need to have 3 meals a day.
So this is the longevity diet that you would promote.
Yeah, it's a normal diet. And don't get too het up about this many calories or this much protein. The old days, people just used to cook with their hands and you ate. You have to be intuitive and not medicalize humanization. Do you see? It's only when we start putting things in people's heads that they start getting confused. It's great for the commercial market, but you don't need it.
Yeah, we do need it. You also talked briefly about hormones. Hormones start shifting well before menopause and andropause. Do you recommend testing hormones for people in their 30s and 40s?
Yeah, so hormonal decline is in context of how busy you are. You can drop hormones in your teens if you're super stressed because the adrenal gland can steal them. We mentioned progesterone, DHEA. But usually there's a 1% decrease in your hormones after the age of 30 every year. And these are your highways. So people wait till they get menopause or andropause. They shouldn't. They should check and see where their hormones are. And they're dynamic. So what a hormone is your highway. So if you fix the highway and everything's working, the adrenal gland will steal less and you'll switch yourself back on again. So they're dynamic. It doesn't mean going on more and more sometimes. It means going on some to get things working and then dropping them. So hormones are super important because they are the conductor to the symphony of your genes. They're not just about andropause, menopause. And cancers and things are about imbalance, not hormones themselves.
Yeah.
So, an imbalance occurs predominantly due to stress.
Stress again.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. In your clinic, you do bioidentical hormone therapy. Is that different than the good old NHS?
Yeah, so the NHS
HRT?
will do a prescriptive, and they have set standard numbers they give you. With bioidentical, we look at your hormones in context of your world, and I would then give you the exact dose to get you in the middle lane. So we're not going extreme. What gets you in the middle lane is not the same as somebody else in the same room. Do you see?
You mean the NHS has one
Yeah.
fits
1 or 2
all?
or 3 or 4, yes. Whereas we can literally make 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, literally to anything. Because we use bioidentical, i.e. the same as what your body's making, but also we use a compound pharmacy to say this is the exact dose for you. Compounding. They make the drug. So they actually physically make it at that dose.
For me?
Yes,
just for me?
Just for you. So it cannot be sold
based on my blood work?
Yes.
Okay.
And we don't just do progesterone and estrogen. We do the 2 different types of estrogen. We also do pregnenolone, another mother hormone, DHEA, testosterone.
Testosterone for men and women.
Yes, and melatonin also. These are all hormones. Vitamin D is a hormone. Yes. So, you have to realize that, if you are so unique, Your one signature. Your signature is not the same in any other human. And your environment is not the same as any other human. So how can we make decisions on the whole human race based on bringing 100 people off the street? It's impossible.
Yeah.
So that is how convention has been built.
Yeah, that's the capacity of the NHS. That's
Yes.
how they
Yeah.
know
And
things.
I think
the
it's
only
important.
variations there, because I started my HRT journey just last week.
Yes.
The only variation, actually not the only variation, the only path is to start on estrogen 25 mcg.
Yes. And then,
Then
50 or 75.
then 50 if you need, then 70 if you need,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, but they're looking at, you see, for me, it's about why is it down? If we fix your adrenal stress, you won't steal. So you may not need one hormone if we fix the other bit of the problem. So we don't just look at giving, we look at restoring.
So you sometimes supplement, let's say supplement or medicate with estrogen, but not progesterone, for example?
Yes, variations. And you know, every 10 patients will come out with 10 different treatment plans. And some of them will not even be hormones, they'll be diet. So the beauty of precision medicine is when you have an hour and a half with a patient, you literally connect with them at a level where you can put all the pieces together.
Tell us the most misunderstood aspects of aging.
I think the biggest myth is that you can solve this problem from the outside. You cannot. You have to fix your inside.
Feed the cell and protect the cell.
Yes. So we have to go back to fundamental basics. There's no amount of drips or high-end things you can do. You're putting a Elastoplast over the problem. You've got to go back to fundamentals of cleaning your body out, then going into the phase of recovery and repair. And what we're not good at is that bit. We just want a quick fix. So to me, longevity also has to be redefined. Is it really about how many more years? I don't think so. For me, redefining longevity is being the best version of yourself now, right in this minute, right in this day. And if you focus on being the best version, when you wake up and you're saying, what is going to make me the best version of today? Okay, you've got school runs, you've got this, you've got that. So what? That stuff. What is it that I can do in those magic minutes that can optimize me? Maybe I could do 5 squats instead of having a cup of coffee. Maybe I can lie down and do 5 sets of box breath work. Maybe I can go and spend 3 minutes in the park. Set your agenda to be the best person today, and tomorrow will look after itself. In the same ways, feed the cell and protect the cell, and the organ will look after itself. Let's not get up on years. And I did a conference this weekend, and I had the Brian Johnson, who is trying to preserve his cells with a view to prolonging them for the future. And then I had a caveman underneath with a fireplace. He's also trying to preserve himself and prolong them, but just for tonight.
But just for tonight,
Because in the mind, who is more fulfilled? Ask yourself that question. The man who's worried about how he's going to take his 1,000 supplements, or the guy says, there's no rain, I've got fire, I'm warm, I can sleep tonight like a baby. You tell me which
Probably because he's not pursuing. He's not
simple.
running after things.
So you don't have to stop doing your doing, but just change your mindset to one that make the best of it. That you have this like just become the optimal version of yourself.
Yeah, and you subtly refer to the difference between lifespan and health span. What is the difference between them?
Well, life is independence, pursuit of fulfillment, and purpose. Added years is just being on Earth, existing. This is why a lot of people are signing all this DNR forms saying, please don't resuscitate me. They're sitting in care homes, nursing homes, hospitals. That is not life, that's existence.
Hi, I'm Hala, your host today. If you're enjoying what you see, please hit that lovely subscribe button. It will mean a lot to us. Or maybe a small podcast now, but with your support, we can build this channel together, one step at a time. Thank you so much for being part of it. You referred to ancient wisdom when you talked about fasting and being in nature. Of course, you integrate this with your clinical science in the lab. When you integrate ancient wisdom, is it only philosophical, or does that wisdom have like empirical, measurable health benefits?
So you can do biofield testing, you can do many tests now, but we do. So if we want to open up your prefrontal cortex, we need nootropics. If we want to look at your hippocampus and your memory, there's certain types of cognitive therapy you can do. Mm-hmm. If you want to open up certain pathways, through a hormone or a chemical called BDNF, you can do reverse transmagnetic stimulation now. There's many things, modalities that exist. For me, it's about explaining to the patient why we're doing what we're doing. Do you want to do it this way, or do you want to go back and do it your own way? Because there's no wrong answer. So the answer is these modalities are all scientific based. And now, so the next decade will belong to the neuroscientists because they will be able to tap into those 30 senses and operate them at a functional level, at a higher level, which means the rest just happens.
What are nootropics?
Nootropics are basically brain food, things that feed the brain. So the good fats, the blended 369 omegas, B12, the B vitamins, the dopamine stabilizers. These are all nootropics. Caffeine's a nootropic.
Is it?
Ashwagandha is a nootropic. They're all ways of making the brain balanced so it doesn't go to the wrong energy.
The brain. You talked about, I believe you have a book about the brain.
Yes, I have about 22 books, but one of them is about neuroscience and the brain. Yeah.
Yes, 22 I read. Oh, they increased. Amazingly, that's a massive undertaking, 22 books, and that's pre-AI, which means that you actually wrote the books yourself.
Well, we're still writing more now. So we're coming up now looking at, we're going to call it Wild Wisdom Works. So we're looking at the narratives of evolution and linking it to the science now. So people can say, this is what Aristotle did, and now it's the science behind why it worked. This is what Buddha did. This is the science behind it worked. Because people need to see the interconnection for them to understand that they did it because they knew it was right. We now can prove that they were correct.
These two seemingly different routes, the medicine-based treatments and the traditional ancient wisdom, do they ever give you like conflicting biomarkers or treatment path? And if so, how do you reconcile this?
So for me, the beauty of being an integrated doctor is I use the tools available at the right time. If today you got run over by a bus and broke a leg, I wouldn't say see a shaman. I would say go to A&E. Do you see?
Of course.
Get it fixed. And then go and see the shaman afterwards to find out why you got run over by a bus. What I feel is that you should look at all the tools, and why there's never conflict is because the health journey is from going from the sort of the acute medicine, which we can manage, and then you go into rehab, high dependency, then rehab, then into normalization. And as that comes, that's when the other approaches come in. Whereas what conventional does is keep you there all the time. So you'll never get off your blood pressure tablets, but you need them to stabilize. Then you think, okay, let's get the gut done, liver detox, adrenal stress, and then wean this off and put nature back in. So there cannot be conflict.
You also define real longevity medicine. I think I pinched this from your website as, and I quote, repairing the cell, supporting regeneration and evolving identity. This sounds different than the typical mainstream preventative care, right?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. How do I repair or renew my cells out of clinic? Do it independently?
So the process which we described, the clean out, the
it's healthy food.
Exactly. So, but the sort of detoxification bit, then the repair. This is exactly what this will do to you.
Okay. Yeah. How about evolving identity? Will I think or behave differently when I optimize my body?
Without a doubt, because the back office has got so many television sets open at the moment. If you knock them out, you'll be able to focus more. You'll be more present. When you're talking, you will not be thinking 10 other things you should be doing, but you'll be present. So the answer is your psychological evolution and identity naturally will change anyway.
Yeah, I would love to get rid of the clutter in my brain.
To get rid of the clutter, you have to get rid of the clutter in your body first, which is feeding that.
I promise you, I'm doing everything right. Well, I'm sure you hear that a lot.
But you would need to just reframe it, because the issue is more how you've defined your success, and that's going to be something that does require a lot of reflection and a lot of bravery to some extent.
Yeah.
But everyone will get there anyway at their own time, but it will happen. The more you spend time with nature, the more you look at things differently, the easier it becomes.
Okay. How often do you spend time in nature?
Every day.
Every day. Where do you go?
Day. Well, I have a park opposite my practice.
Okay.
So I try and get there once for at least 5 or 6 minutes every hour, which is not impossible.
Wow. Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, because it's right opposite. And I know the magic minutes, I call them. You can just do it, but you've got to focus, and then you come back refreshed.
Yeah, and you must get the most brilliant ideas and concepts while seemingly doing nothing in nature.
Totally. Yeah. It's a control or delete and come back and refresh. You never get tired either.
Yeah.
You can carry on forever.
This is a big mismatch in our lives because, as you rightly mentioned, our genes pool have evolved over years and years and years in nature.
And this is so new and it's changing so quick. In the
250
5 years,
years of industrialization.
Look at what's happened in just 5 years.
Yeah.
It's too quick for ourselves to even consider it. That's why the next generation have to be different.
Yes.
Because all the conventional things are breaking down in front of our eyes.
What about the role of genetics? What would a genetic test tell you about the potential of longevity?
Yeah, where to focus your attention. So if you know that there may be an ApoE or dementia gene, or you're more prone to insulin resistance, it will allow you to home in, but it doesn't take away from the whole process. Do you see?
Can genetic therapies reverse aging?
Well, the technology certainly can, yes. Very expensive, but like most things, if the environment around that doesn't change, it's going to go back to native, right? So you can't just put one change in. But it's a bit like if you have a Ferrari and it's a puncture, you put a new tire. But if that car has been abused in the sense that the choke is not working, the brakes are not working, the outcome is not going to be great.
No.
You see? So this is the problem. We mustn't get too excited by the ego of technology and still think about the fact that there's a duty of care to the human being.
What daily habits do you find most vital for longevity?
For me, control alt delete on the brain. When you're really busy, get 5 minutes of nature in your blood, box breathing, walking, earthing. That to me is the biggest. Second thing is sleep well. Protect your sleep and the process before you sleep so you can protect your sleep. And thirdly, eat less but well. So 1 or 2 meals a day is enough, and just keep it fresh and lean and allow your body to detoxify itself.
Yeah.
Those are the key things. Nothing special.
Yeah, I remember I used to do 3-day water fast a lot, like before a year ago. But this year I decided that it's time to build muscles. So I no longer do it just because I need the protein.
Yes.
But I remember once when I said to one of my friends, she's a GP, that I do 3-day water fast, and the shock on her face. This is hardly conventional medicine.
Totally, but it's been happening for centuries because that's what we've been.
Dr. Ash, we conclude our episodes with visionary, moral and ethical questions, the tough ones. Now, in terms of regulations and safety, let's say, for example, psychedelic assisted therapy, how do you ensure that it's done ethically and safely, and at the same time you push boundaries?
So again, we're going at it thinking immediately safety. What is psychedelic assisted therapy? Psychedelic assisted therapy is about vibrating your pineal gland to release a hormone called DMT so we can be more reflective. It can happen through breathwork. It doesn't have to happen through taking mushrooms or ketamine. So breathwork is psychedelic therapy. So for me, what we must do is try and enable the human being, saying that all the tools they have is around them. They just got to learn how to use them. So guided, what they call conscious connected breathing, can have psychedelic effects. We now being in dark retreats creates psychedelic effects. So it's not always about drugs. But if we cannot get access to these support services or cannot utilize them, then what we must do is look at going to people who know what they're doing, why you're doing it, enabling people to understand that these aren't silver bullets. These are just simply ways of trying to open up the brain so it can start decluttering things in a safe environment. So I think more data is needed, more community data is needed. The evidence has to be presented, and also the safety elements of it. If I was ever to have ketamine, it would be with an anaesthetist to make sure that I'm safe in a protected environment. I would definitely want a psychologist with me so that when I land out of the psychedelic, they help me interpret what has happened. So I need to get value out of this, and I need to think about why I'm doing it. And if I'm stuck with antidepressants that don't work, or I've tried many other things that are just stuck, those are the sort of reasons why they are, because the brain won't let go. And that's where I think psychedelic assisted therapy would be very good. It's happened for thousands of years. Ayahuasca, Kambo, all of these traditions are psychedelic assisted therapies.
Okay. How do they work on the brain? Do they rewire the brain?
Very good question. So they work in different elements of the brain, but predominantly it's about a release of DMT from the pineal gland so that the brain is able to go into the subconscious mind, the mind you cannot see, and bring it out to the surface to you.
So I get access to my subconscious.
Access, yes, to things that may have happened in childhood or traumas that may have happened that you've suitcased and bottled up.
Is this useful?
Very useful, because all of us carry trauma in some form or another. And so when people are stuck, you've got to ask yourself, how they're behaving today could have been expressed due to what has happened before, which has not surfaced.
And ideally, when I understand how and why, I'm able to face or address.
Yes, and that's when the support comes in. Then you can say, okay, I now accept this is the issue. Let me work through it.
Okay, what is the process? So I go to your clinic and there is a therapy session kind of thing.
Yes,
I
there's an assessment
consume
made
the
by-
stuff.
Yes. It's and then under a specialist, and then there's what they call a landing phase where you express what has happened to
In
you.
my brain, what I was thinking.
Yes, and then they will help put the sort of thinking about what has been said and interpret it for you. But in most cases, most people interpret it themselves.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned, I think you were talking about the mind-body connection kind of thing. And you said that 97% of our behavior is ruled by the subconscious.
Yes.
While the rest, which is
Yes.
a flimsy 2 3,
Yeah.
is ruled by
The conscious mind. Yes. So if we can open up our consciousness to expand our consciousness, i.e., what we're aware of, you see, you'll become a much more healthy being because you're not going to be hiding trauma. You're going to be addressing it.
We know that change creeps very, very slowly in the NHS. If you could look at the NHS sympathetically and make changes lovingly, what would you change?
So I think a lot of people are going around in conveyor belts. They get either deferred to someone else when they get seen a doctor, they get referred to a hospital when there's a waiting list a year, or essentially they get sort of referred, deferred, or investigated. You just do lots of tests because you don't know what's going on. So these people are just stuck in systems and you never see the same doctor. My experience is that if they could see one doctor for 1 hour just to lay the landscape of their lives out with some simple testing, I have a strong feeling that collaboration between the patient and doctor can lead to outcomes and agency that the patient can be given to go back and sort things out. So my 10-hour plan, for example, can be explained in an hour. It gives agency back to the individual. They can go back and through a health coach in the community, carry this through. I think you could wipe out 70% of the problems overnight and you would have a happy workforce, you'd have a happy patient, and you'll have a system that decompresses and costs massively.
And this is just this first stage is through GPs, the front line.
I think the GP is the best place to do it because they have a knowledge of the whole human more than perhaps a specialist does.
Yes. What role will AI, big data, diagnostics, and precision medicine play in longevity medicine in the next 10, 20
I
years?
think one of the big things is you can get evidence quickly about what you're doing. That's one of the big benefits of AI and meta-analysis. The other thing is it will buy bureaucratic time for doctors, writing letters and sorting out results. And AI can be very clever at dealing with bureaucracy, which I feel most GP work, 70% is bureaucracy. So if you can say, okay, if I don't have to do 70%, then rather than take time off and play golf, I can give my patients 30 or 40 minutes. So the logic is AI should be able to enable what I just talked about.
You said that AI should be a co-pilot that enhances our understanding instead of
You've got to remember
intuition.
AI is intelligence and wisdom is beyond intelligence. Wisdom is context, empathy, experience, all of those four factors. So use the intelligence, but don't be directed and dictated entirely by that.
Yeah, but what are the risks if we get this wrong?
There's no risk. Look at where we are today.
Okay.
Overspent, underperforming, and unhappy.
Yeah, very true. Ash, some of the therapies that you conduct in your clinic, peptides, psychedelics, IV, nutrient therapy, extending fasting, these are not standard medical practices.
No, they are standard if you look at the human wellness in context of 5 million years.
Yes.
Not standard if you're looking at it in the last 100 years.
But do you face any regulatory pushback?
No, because if you look at autophagy, there's so many papers written on it. Professor Usumi's got a Nobel Prize on this on it. A lot of people,
what is autophagy?
Autophagy is fasting.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's that ability to go to that extended fast to clean out all that debris.
Mainstream medicine see these therapies still as a little bit of French or woo-woo. How do you respond to critics when they say that there isn't sufficient evidence behind this?
If our outcome is for the patient to be better, and on less prescribed medication, then the best evidence I feel is our patients speaking and telling people that. And we have that all the time.
Their health.
Yeah, all the time. Only
brilliant.
one yesterday saying, psychiatrist said, you need to be on this antidepressant forever because that's what the evidence says. And the patient said, but I've been weaned off it and I'm feeling well. Yes, but no. If I'm telling you I'm feeling better and I'm well without it, and it's been 6 months.
Yes.
And there was no argument. But that's what my book says. Do you see?
Yeah.
Rather than common sense.
Absolutely. I don't take any medications for my conditions and diseases.
So patient choice is paramount. And our job is to give them the choices, and then they make their decision.
Yes. And how do you respond to concerns about dramatically extending lifespan? Like people talk about overpopulation.
If you're eating less, if you're less materialistic, there's plenty of abundance for people to live longer.
You have reviewed thousands and thousands of research papers to reach the conclusions that you have shared with us today. What is exactly the disconnect between the evidence that you have found and the mainstream disapproval?
Numbers. With randomized controlled trials, there's big numbers, and they are the gold standard. So if you're using randomized controlled trials as the gold standard of research, a lot of these smaller trials won't fit. It doesn't mean the evidence is not great. It just means they won't fit. So that's where the biggest dilemma is. And randomized controlled trials neutralize everything around that relationship. They look at one relationship. And as we said, you're 30 trillion cells talking to each other. So logic says longevity and randomized controlled trials don't make sense.
Yes.
Wisdom is everything. Intelligence is just linear. Randomized controlled trials is intelligence. Wisdom is beyond intelligence.
What needs to change in terms of policy, for example, for longevity medicine to be mainstream?
I think, first of all, we've got to be careful the longevity matrix doesn't get complicated. So when people are doing things, they need to know why they're doing them and the timing. So, jumping from one NAD to this to that doesn't work, right? So a strategy is important. And I think the biggest thing, this thing about longevity is it shouldn't be a medical narrative. It should be your narrative. You should own longevity, not the doctors. Yeah. So for me, the strategy should be to disempower the profession and empower humans.
And looking ahead, what do you think will be the next big innovation in human optimization?
I think understanding the brain.
Understanding the brain.
Yes, totally. And all those networks that control what your body does.
Yeah. Do you have recommendations of brain food for us?
So
should be consumed?
omega-369, the blended oils, vitamin D hormone, and the B vitamins definitely would be the three that I would go with.
Okay. Is there a way to bring brain power to a different capacity?
Totally, completely. And take it out of the left-sided intelligence zone to the right-sided massive intuitive zone.
Okay. Yeah. Have you ever found it tempting to experiment with patients, like in the gray area, not morally, but legally?
Never, because the point is we're only able to do good for them. So it's never, experiments mean giving them drugs, pharmaceutical industries. If we're working with what is already in nature or what your body's producing, it's not an experiment, it's a reinforcement.
Yes, you mentioned nutrient dripping. Is this IV?
Yes.
Kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay. What is the distinction? Can't I just consume supplements orally?
You could, but if you were at the beginning stage where your gut was broken or your liver was toxic, first of all, could it get in? Maybe not. Then does it have to bypass the liver? Maybe not. So at the early stages when people are struggling, IV is a good way of getting 100% bioavailability.
Yeah, and this is to feed the cells, not the stomach.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Ash Kapoor, today's forward-thinking conversation was a tiny masterclass in how science, clinical wisdom, and holistic approaches can all converge to redefine what modern healthcare could look like, shifting the focus from chasing symptoms to cellular healing. Challenges us all to think differently about not only about aging, but about living with strength and purpose. Today reminded us that health is not the absence of disease, but a dynamic process that can be optimized. And you taught us how to thrive and not just survive. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me today.